All right, let's just jump right in. We're about to explore one of the absolute biggest mysteries there is, and that mystery is you. I'm not talking about your job or your memories, but that deep down inner feeling of being, well, you. Where in the world does that come from? It turns out the answer might be hiding in some seriously mind-bending physics. I mean, really, take a second and think about that. That constant, quiet awareness that you're in here, looking out at the world through your own eyes. It feels so solid, so real, doesn't it? But what is that feeling, fundamentally? This isn't just some late-night philosophical question. It's one of the biggest questions in science today. And right away, we hit a massive brick wall. Because the science we're all used to, classical physics, where one thing bumps into another thing, cause and effect. It's fantastic for predicting orbits or building bridges, but when it comes to explaining your inner world, it's completely stumped. It has no way to account for this rich, subjective experience of being alive. So if the usual rulebook is useless here, we've got to look for a different one. And it just so happens the clues we need to understand our inner reality, well, they seem to be hiding in the absolute strangest, most counterintuitive reality we know of, the world of quantum physics. Okay, so here's our first big clue. It's called superposition. And this is where things start to get really weird. On a quantum level, a particle isn't just in one place. Instead, it exists in all of its possible places at the exact same time. It's like a ghost, a cloud of pure potential. It's not here or there, it's here and there and everywhere else, all at once. So how does that cloud of potential ever become a single, real thing that we can see? Well, this is the kicker. It happens when it's observed. The simple act of looking at it, of measuring it, literally forces that cloud of possibilities to collapse into one single reality. This is a huge deal. It means the observer isn't just a passive spectator. They're actually helping to create reality. Don't forget that part. Now, let's add our second clue, which takes things even further. It's called non-locality. Picture two particles that are fundamentally linked. The technical term is entangled. If you measure one of them, its twin particle instantly, and I mean instantly, reacts, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. There's no signal, no message traveling between them. They're just connected in a way that goes beyond space itself. This idea is so bizarre it completely baffled Albert Einstein. He famously called it spooky action at a distance because honestly, it just shouldn't be possible. It breaks all the rules we think we know about the universe. It suggests there's this hidden layer of reality, a deep, invisible web of interconnection under the surface of everything. So, superposition, reality creating observers, spooky instant connections, this all sounds like something straight out of science fiction. But here's the big question. What if these bizarre quantum rules aren't just for tiny particles in a lab? What if this is exactly how things work, right now, inside your own brain? Thinking this way requires a complete paradigm shift. The old classical view of the brain is that it's just a very complicated machine, like a biological computer with a bunch of local linear connections. But the quantum view, it paints a totally different picture. It suggests the brain is more like a single, holistic, entangled system, where distant parts have deep relationships, and where your perspective helps shape what's real. And believe it or not, this isn't just a wild idea. Scientists are actually hunting for how and where these quantum effects could survive inside our warm, messy brains. One of the most promising ideas involves something called Posner clusters. Think of them as tiny molecular cages that can shield these super delicate quantum states, protecting them from collapsing. This could be what allows for quantum processing to happen inside our own neurons. The whole theory even suggests that our everyday sense of space and time might not be fundamental reality, but just a mental model our brain cooks up. Okay, so we have these strange clues from the quantum world, and we have a possible place for them to be operating, our own brain. So let's connect the dots. What does this all mean for that original question, that feeling of me? All right, get ready, because this is the core idea, and it's a big one. This theory suggests that yourself, that feeling of identity you carry around, it isn't a single thing. It's not a pilot sitting behind your eyes. It's not a thing at all. It's a process. It's a dynamic, interconnected system in constant motion. So, that quantum feeling of me emerges from this one, single, entangled information system that's spread out across your entire brain and nervous system. It's not fixed. It's constantly shifting and changing, depending on which parts of your brain are being pulled into the network at any given moment. And just like in quantum physics, that feeling of being a single coherent you depends on the observer, which is you, to pull all that potential together into a unified experience. Now, this is all fascinating, mind-bending stuff. But you might be asking, so what? What's the practical use of all this? Well, this is where it gets really exciting. Because if our sense of self is a dynamic system, that means it can be changed. And this whole quantum perspective is inspiring brand new approaches to therapy and healing. One of these new methods is called deep brain reorienting, or DBR. Let's walk through how it works. First, when a trigger happens, it helps you slow that whole automatic cascade down. It creates a pause. Then it actively brings you, the observer, into the picture to just witness the process without getting swept away. By doing that, you're literally shifting the odds, making it more probable that your brain will use a new, healthier pathway. Ultimately, this allows old, entangled traumatic patterns to finally resolve themselves in a new way, creating a completely new outcome. And the result here is nothing short of profound. We're not talking about just managing symptoms or learning to cope better. The goal is to fundamentally and permanently change the entire networked landscape of the brain. It's about reorienting the whole system away from an old, stuck perspective and toward a new, healthier one. So, all of this leaves us with a pretty staggering final thought to chew on. If our very consciousness operates on these quantum principles, and if our own observation is what helps collapse infinite potential into a single reality, then that suggests we are not just passengers in our own lives, we're active participants, which leads to the ultimate question: just how much power do we really have to change our own story?